Achilles was a demigod destined for greatness. He was born to a sea nymph and a king. And like the legendary Heracles before him, he was trained by the centaur Chiron in hunting, music, and medicine. Meanwhile, his closest companion since boyhood was Patroclus, a mortal with no divine parentage or lofty prophecies tied to his name. Despite these differences, the two loved one another unconditionally. But when Greece declared war on Troy, Achilles was called upon as a crucial weapon. Helen, the wife of a Greek king, had vanished to Troy with Paris, a Trojan prince. An army of Greeks assembled, determined to retrieve her, and as war loomed, the gods themselves took sides and argued over the mortals' fates. Achilles knew the war was written into his destiny, and with horses borne from the west wind and a spear wrought from a mountain peak, he readied himself. But he wouldn't be alone. Patroclus was by his side. They sailed to Troy along with 1,186 ships and surged into battle. The Trojans were led by the formidable Prince Hector, brother of Paris and son of King Priam. But they were no match for Achilles, who held the upper hand for the Greeks with his striking skill. Some said Achilles was invincible because his mother dipped him into the Styx. Others said that she bathed him in ambrosia, the nectar of immortality. Despite his talent, the war wore on for 9 years, and internal conflicts crystallized. Early on, Achilles took a woman named Briseis captive, but the Greek army's leader, King Agamemnon, had grown jealous of Achilles and seized Briseis for himself. Incensed, Achilles went on strike, and the situation became dire without him. Patroclus witnessed the carnage firsthand, but still Achilles refused to fight. Panicked at the sight of the Trojans entering the Greek encampment, Patroclus urged Achilles to lend him his armor. The sight of Achilles alone, he argued, would drive the Trojans back. Achilles agreed, provided Patroclus avoid the gates of Troy, from which the god Apollo protected the city. Suiting Patroclus in the armor, Achilles prayed for his safe return. Leading a swarm of Greeks, the disguised Patroclus drove the Trojans away, and for a few precious moments, he felt as untouchable as Achilles himself. He hurtled towards Troy until Apollo struck him down, knocking away his armor. Hector seized the opportunity, claiming Patroclus' life and Achilles' armor. Overcome by guilt and grief, Achilles vowed not to bury his beloved until he was avenged. He threw himself into battle, leaving a trail of bodies in his wake. Soon, all Trojans had fled or perished. All but Hector, clad in the armor that had failed to protect Patroclus. Their spears clashed, but Achilles knew the armor's weak spot. With a deadly strike, he took his revenge. And yet, his grief and fury weren't satisfied. Achilles seized Hector's body. Denying him burial was a heinous offense, but nothing felt sacred anymore. He dragged the body behind his chariot, jeering at the Trojans all the while. At night, the ghost of Patroclus appeared to Achilles, warning that his death was imminent and asking that their bones be laid to rest together. Achilles agreed and tried to embrace him, but the apparition disappeared. Meanwhile, Priam, the Trojan king, was also tormented by grief. He finally resolved to go to Achilles and ask him for mercy. He kissed the hands that killed his son and offered payment for Hector's body. Together they wept and shared a meal. Achilles returned Hector's corpse, praying to Patroclus for forgiveness. And with little left to lose, he returned to battle, defeating even the most skilled warriors. But just as Patroclus had predicted, Achilles wouldn't live long. Paris struck his heel with an arrow that some say was guided by Apollo. The remains of Achilles and Patroclus were mingled for eternity, and the Greeks went on to win the war. But in the course of battle, each side lost some of the greatest heroes of their time, their zeal turning into heartbreak, even as their stories hardened into legend. But did ancient Troy ever actually exist? For a while, there was no sign of it. Find out what archaeologists finally discovered with this video, or hear a story of another epic Greek hero, Hercules, with this one.